Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see on the screen, my name is Pranav Gandhi. I'm a trainer and consultant. Total overall experience, industry experience is 22 plus years. I have already created one video for my introduction and all. You can search it on my YouTube channel, right? So we are going to have another session on basic statistics for data science, and this is going to be actually episode number 9. So all right, so just a small correction there, I have corrected immediately. It's going to be episode number 10 for basic statistics for data science, right? And today's topic we are going to discuss is given over here at the bottom, and that is standard normal distribution. What is standard normal distribution? What is z-scores? We are going to look into that, right? And this is going to be the 15th video, so to say, I'm recording, right? So already 14th different topics has been covered, right from my introduction, then introduction to data science with Python and R, then data science and machine learning, I mean the definitions and what it is exactly, why should you learn it, etc., etc. Then how to download R Studio, Python, Spider, Anaconda, all that has been already covered. And then when we started our curriculum agenda topic, okay, so in the second video you will find entire curriculum. So from that curriculum, I have picked up the first module, that is for basic statistics, and for that basic statistics, we have created these episodes. So this is going to be the episode number 10. Already we have covered data types, random variable, probability example, probability distribution, sampling funnel, mean, median, mode or measures of central tendency, measures of dispersion with variance, standard deviation and range, then measures of asymmetry and peak, that is skewness and kurtosis. So these are also called as all four moments of business decision we have already covered. Then the graphical techniques we have covered. In that we have learned box plot, histogram, bar plot, how to plot them in R we have seen, and what is the significance of these plots, how to interpret these plots, we have all seen that, right? And in the last episode, in the last session, I have covered what is normal distribution and its characteristics, right? So I'm going to take a brief of that again. Going to, we are going to see the same slides again, but then it's a quick recap because it has a immediate connection with the standard normal distribution and z-scores. So let's begin that to understand what is normal distribution. So when a data is given to us, okay, when a data is given to, so already normally data will be given to us in rows and columns, right? So the columns will be having their labels, the headings, and the data underneath will be there. Now what we have to imagine for this understanding of this is that when that data I'm saying, okay, so if suppose I have a data called maybe the employee data. So obviously this employee data is going to have employee ID, then employee name, then its salary, then its years of experience, his educational qualification, and so on. Lot of different types of information will be given to you in your data. Now when we are talking about this normal distribution, so let us understand that this data we are going to use it for prediction modeling by using maybe linear regression to predict the salary, right? So first of all, I want to understand, if I want to see whether the data is normally distributed or not, right? So for example, this salary column, so there are numbers 20K, 15K, 12K, 28K, 33K. Of course, K means I am talking about 000, right? So all that numbers and maybe 1000 data points are given to me. Now I want to see whether this data is normally distributed or not, right? So most of the times the data will not be a normally distributed data. But if suppose this data is normally distributed, then it must carry some characteristics, like we have seen in earlier episode that if we calculate the mean, median or mode for this particular salary column, then out of these 1000 entries, 50% entries should fall on this side of mean and 50% entries should fall on this side of mean. If this is the situation, then we call it as a normally distributed data, right? So whenever my column information is distributed equally or symmetrically across the mean, median and mode, that is, if it is forming a 50% mirror image on both sides of mean, median and mode of that particular series of data, then we call that data is normally distributed. And few more characteristics we have seen, right? Something like the 68.26% values will always lie between minus and plus 1 standard deviation. 95.46% values will lie always on minus 2 to plus 2 standard deviation, and 99.73% values will always lie in plus minus 3 standard deviation. And that is why it is also called as 68, 95, 99.7 rule, and this rule is called as empirical rule, right? So when my data is normally distributed, okay, it will fall within this rule and the distribution of the data will fall like this. And few points to remember when we were learning the normal distribution, those were: a normal random variable takes values from minus infinity to plus infinity. Why? Because we are talking about the continuous distribution, and any two continuous numbers may have infinite numbers in between. The second point, the probability associated with any single value of a random variable is always 0. So we cannot have a probability for single value because that value doesn't exist. When I say I am 72.8, my height is 72.80 centimeters, 172.80 centimeters. So actually I cannot guaranteedly say, or with guarantee I cannot say that it is exactly 80 centimeters, 0.80 centimeters. It can be 172.8102, 8001 and so on, up to 1000 decibels maybe, we don't know, right? But we truncate these values for our day-to-day life calculations, and we use these measurements, right? But statistically, the probability associated with any single value of a random variable is always 0. And area under the entire curve is always going to be 1. So as we have seen in discrete distribution, 1 by 2, 1 by 2, head and tail chances if we add, so there is always going to be, the total is going to be 1. 1 by 6, 6 times we have seen, right, is always going to be 1. Similarly, whatever data, as in the salary data, whatever data is there, if I am considering all the data points, right, the probability of any value following, so that distribution will be something like this maybe, right? So all the values are falling in this range or under this curve. Okay, all the values are falling under this curve. So if I want to calculate the probability of, let's say, 20k salary, if I want to find out the probability of people who are having 20,000 salary, okay, which is here under this curve, okay, 30,000 salary, under this curve. Okay, 12,000 salary is also plotted under this curve, right? So if I add the probability, so if there are 30,000 numbers, maybe 3 times it is appearing, because this is going to be the frequency plot, right? We are going to see this in detail with an example, but what I am trying to say over here is, so I have taken all those values and plotted a plot, okay, maybe a frequency plot as we have seen in histogram. If I plot it like this, and if I get a distribution curve, I will get it something like this, right? So which means that all the data, when they are available under this curve, which means that the probability associated with all these data points is also under this curve, and the entire probability is always going to be equal to 1. Okay, so these things, this is just a recap from last session, right? And then one more characteristics we have understood, that whenever a data is normally distributed, okay, then it is also characterized by its mu and sigma, that is the average and the standard deviation. Because as my average changes or as my standard deviation changes, the shapes of my plot is changing and moving on the x-axis. This we have seen in detail in the last session, right? Which means that if suppose I am having the scores of the student for English language and mathematics language, right? So the English language scores are distributed with this graph, and mathematics language scores are distributed, let's say, with this graph. Now if you see both of these plots, and if there are 100 students, right? So all these 100 students, if I am having marks for English for 100 students and for mathematics, right? And if I plot them across, the plot is something like this. Just assume this, okay? So this is for English and this is for maths. Now if you observe that both these plots are having same mean, both these plots are having same mean, but different standard deviation, different standard deviation. So if I want to do an analysis that how the person have scored, how the student have performed in an examination in the subject to all the papers or all the subjects, right? How a student have scored. If I want to do this analysis, then definitely I have to do the analysis of this plot and this plot. And for this, I'm going to use the standard normal distribution, because this is going to be only possible, that is mu 0 and sigma 1. Okay, so here what happened? Basically, the sigma was 0.5, and here what happened? The sigma was 1. So it was very difficult to analyze the scores of maths and say English. So for that, what I want a symmetrical distribution for both of them, a equal distribution. And to achieve that, I need to convert the scores into z-scores. I need to convert the raw data into its respective z-scores, right? So how to do that? So let us understand that. Suppose I have a random variable called x, and these are the values it is carrying. Now, irrespective of label, I am not labeling this data, right? So let us understand that this is an x variable and it is carrying these values, and assume that its standard deviation is 20. Now if I want to convert it into a standard normal distribution, that is, if I want to use the standardization process, okay, so a normal distribution, converting a normal distribution into a standard normal distribution is called as standardization process, number one. Basically, this process is doing what? My normal raw data, okay, whatever my raw data is there in my data sheet, I'm converting that data into its respective z-scores. Into its respective z-scores. Why I am converting it into respective z-scores? Because when I convert any data into their respective z-scores, I will always get 0 mean and 1 standard deviation. Right? So, for z-scores, for any data, will always have 0 mean and 1 standard deviation. So like in earlier slide, as I said, this is the English course data plotting, and this is mathematics scores data plotting. Okay, both of them may be having 0, what you can say, average, okay, but the standard deviation for both of them have changed. One is having 0.5, one is having 1. Obviously, this is also random variable, means this is also, we are talking about here z-scores only. So if I take the random, if I take the raw data for these scores, then the scores may be something like 50, right? So in English also, the person have scored 50 marks, or the mean is the 50 marks, and for math score also, the average is 50 marks, right? And definitely there won't be a negative marking, so it will be something like 22, it will be something like 37, etc. It will be like maybe 45, 48, like that, something like that. Just imaginary thing. I'm just trying to explain the concept over here. We are of course going to take an example, right? So both scores will have different distribution. So to avoid this different distribution and to analyze this differently, we convert the data into its standard normal distribution format, so that each and every score now for any subject will be having the fixed distribution properties, that is 0 mean and 1 standard deviation. Now once I convert it into the standard normal distribution of any score, it is very easy for me to estimate the probability of the score following below or above particular mark or between particular marks, because all the scores are falling in this area, right? So if these are the scores 952, 1070, and these are 6 students available, or in between students also, some may have scored 960 as well, some may have scored 980 as well. So there are some students, and if these are the scores, if I want to convert these scores into its standard normal format, distribution format, then I have to convert these numbers into their respective z-scores. To do that, I'm going to use the formula z is equal to x minus mu upon sigma. So in this particular example, if you see, as we have said that we have to assume standard deviation as 20 for this particular example. So what is x? X is nothing but any value in the random variable. So suppose these 3 values are there, and this is the mean. Okay, we are assuming here that this data, the given data for an example purpose, it is a normally distributed data which is having 1010 as mean and 20 as standard deviation. So mu is 1010, whereas sigma is 20. Now if I want to convert this 1030 score into its respective z scores. To calculate the z score for 1030, z score of 1030, I will do x, that is 1030 minus mu, which is 1010. Let me correct this. Yeah, so I wanted to correct this. 1030 minus 1010 divided by, the sigma value is 20, which is going to be 20 divided by 20 will be 1. So this value is the exact replacement of 1030. Now if I want to replace this value, replace means if I want to convert this 1070 into its respective z scores, right? So instead of using this 1030 over here, I'm going to use 1070. So when I use it with this formula 1070 minus mu 1010, it gives me 60 divided by 20, which is 3, which is this number. So likely any number in my data, I can convert it into their respective z-score by using this formula, and we actually have a table for it. We actually have a table for it to interpret these z-scores, right? To interpret these z-scores. So these are nothing but my z-scores, which are always will be in the range of -3 to +3. My z-scores will always range between -3 to +3, right? Of course, there are some decimals available, but this is the first part of z-scores. So -3 and +3, right? Because as we have seen, this much is sufficient for us, because it is covering 99.73% of the data, right? And that is why plus minus 3 standard deviation is what statistically or statisticians are using to do any analysis. Now one disadvantage of converting these normal values or raw values into their z-score, one disadvantage is that here we have to assume that my raw data is normally distributed, even though it is not normally distributed, right? So here I have assumed that I have got already a normal distribution. Most of the time in real time scenario, you won't find a normal distribution available in the data. But then for statistical analysis purpose, statisticians have come up with this mechanism wherein for any given data, they use this formula and convert the raw data into its standard normal distribution format by using the z-scores, which will be always going to have a 0 mean and 1 standard deviation, right? And this distribution is useful, or these values are useful to interpret the probability. So this is also called as a probability plot. So because if I am interested in the person scoring the marks between 970 and 990, which means I am talking about this area. So if I want to calculate the person falling in this range, that is the probability of person falling in this particular range, I am actually talking about this range. That is the person falling in -2 and -1 z-score, right? So this probability I will get from the respective z scores, z table, right? And one more thing to keep in mind over here, z table will always give me the area towards the left from the point of interest. Suppose I am interested in this point, okay, so the left of from this point will be the area z score or z table is going to give me. So basically, let me show you first what is this z table is all about, which will simplify your understanding. So let me show you that. Okay, what happened? So this is going to be a z score table, right? And you see here it is a standard normal distribution. Table values represent area to the left of the z score, right? Which means those areas which we are getting, those values, those z scores which we are getting over here between -3 and +3. So you see here the range. So it will be always between -3.9. look at that. So I am talking about this first portion, -3 and +3, right? So this table will always carry the values between -3 and +3. Okay, this is the first part of z table, score. The second part is up after the decimal, that is 9.9, 0.8, etc., etc. Okay, so we are ignoring that. Now if my z score, let's say, if suppose it is -0.6, okay, exactly to be -0.6, the meaning of this is the probability. So -0.6 is where, let me show you. So in this particular scenario, where is -0.6 lying? So -0.6 is lying over here somewhere, because this is 0 and towards minus sign. So maybe somewhere here. So I am interested from this point, or if this is 0.5, not here, if this is 0.5, then this is, so I am interested in this area basically. The meaning of this is this. So if my z score is -0.6 for any particular value, maybe now it will be somewhere around 900, and this is 90, this is 90, suppose this is 1000 and this is 1010, right? So if this is 1000, then I am talking about maybe 995, right, with this -0.6, that is this value over here, right? So I am interested in the person scoring the marks less than or equal to 995, meaning I am interested in the people falling in this range, that is this area, right? And that will be given to me when I use the z table like this. So if it is exactly -0.6, which means 27%, 0.727425 is the area I am talking about, and this area is nothing but as I have marked earlier over here, right? So this area I am talking about, which means that there is 27% chance that the student may score less than or equal to 995% mark, because this area is 24%, a quarter, right? And if this is 100%, then if this is 50%, then yes, we are talking about this is 25% only, right? So this is how we can calculate the probabilities from standard normal distribution or z-scores, right? And by using this formula, we first convert our raw data into its standard normal distribution format or z-scores, right? So let us take an example now. I hope this is clear to all of you. If you have any doubts, you can please mark me an email, or you can put your questions into YouTube comments as well, or my Facebook channel as well. I mean my Facebook page as well. Or I have also given my LinkedIn account in the description section of this video. Or you can also WhatsApp me, because my WhatsApp number is also available on my Facebook page, right? So now let us try to calculate the z distribution, calculate the probability from the z distribution, right? So the data given over here to us is for MBA students GMAT scores, where the average of the GMAT score is 711 and the standard deviation of the GMAT score is 29, and we have to find out the probability of student scores less than or equal to 680 mark. If this is my business problem, how can I solve it? By using the Z table, right? So if I plot, you can see here, we have already seen this histogram for MBA data. You can watch that video as well, where we have used graphical techniques. We have learned graphical techniques on MBA data, right? So these are the scores, and this is the frequency, right? You can call it density, or you can also call it as frequency. So there are 773 students, right? And these many students have scored this much mark. These many students have scored this much mark. These many students have scored this much mark. And these many students have scored this much mark. This plot is given like that, right? So now what we have to understand over here is, what is the chance, what is the probability that the student may score less than or equal to 680 mark for the GMAT exam? Which means I am interested in, suppose this bin size is talking about 620, 640, 660, 680, right? Which means I am actually interested in calculating this area. So as we know, Z table is going to give me the area towards the left of the value of point of interest. So this is the value for my random variable. Random variable name is GMAT score. And my business problem is, I want to find out the area or the probability of student scoring less than or equal to 680 marks, which lie in this area, and which will be given to me by the Z distribution. So to find out this, what I will do is, I will first calculate the Z score corresponding to 680 marks. That is this point, right? So if I want to calculate the Z score for corresponding to 680 mark, what I will need? Z equal to X minus mu upon sigma. So I'll need mu and I'll need sigma. That is my average of the data and my standard deviation of the data, which is already given to us. That is 711 and 29. If I want to calculate by using this number, then Z at 680 is going to be 680 minus 711 divided by 29, which is going to be minus 1.06. Now this is my Z score. This is my corresponding Z score for 680. Corresponding Z score for 680, because my mu is always going to be 0 over here for my standard normal distribution, right? So this value is lying at minus 1.06 position. Now what I want to see is, from the Z table I'm going to check what is the corresponding value for this, which is going to be my probability, right? So let us go and check in the Z table what is the corresponding value for minus 1.06. So this is my minus 1.0, right? And if you see, the columns are for the up to 2 decimal places from the towards the right from the decimal, right? So point or 0.00, 0.01, 0.02, 0.03, 0.04, 0.05, 0.06. This is the value we are interested in. So we are interested in 1.06, which is minus again. So minus 1.06. So I will go right from here and down from here, and this is the value it is going to be. So which is 0.14457. Okay, approximately it is 0.14 because I have rounded it. So it is going to be 0.14, right? So what I have got over here is, I have got the probability. What I have got? The probability of students scoring less than or equal to 680 marks is going to be 0.14% or 0.14 or 14%. And you can easily see if the area under the curve is going to be 1, which is 100, right, 100% in percentage form, then somewhere here you will get the 50% mark line. We have already seen the average for this is 711, right? So somewhere here, so which is 50% here and 50% here, and 50% from this 50% we are talking about this. But you see here, because this is a frequency plot, most of the students are appearing in this section, that is above 680 and 700, right, for this 50% half. From this 50% half, okay, most of the students are lying in this patch, and we are interested in this patch, and that is why it comes to 14% over here. This is just to explain the logic by visualizing it, but technically we have already calculated it. Now if suppose we have to calculate the student scoring between 710 and 750 marks, if we have to calculate the probability of student scoring between 710 and 750 with again same mean and same standard deviation. Now when I am interested in between area, and because my Z table only gives me the probability towards the left area, what I have to do? I have to first calculate the probability, that is the area from this point, okay, which means if I am talking technically with this 710 means somewhere here, so I am interested in 710 and 750, which is here. So I am interested in this area, right? So when I am interested in this area, so first of all I have to convert this 750 into its respective z-score and get the probability corresponding to that z-score, and then I have to calculate the respective z-score for 710, right, and then get the probability corresponding to 710, right? So which is going to be higher probability? Of course, I'm talking about two areas over here. So let me color mark it for better understanding. So first area is going to be like this, which is a bigger area, and the next area is going to be like this. Because from both the points, z-score is going to give me the left side area, right? So one area I am getting is this, right? And one area I am getting is this. Oh, sorry, let me do it this way. So now this area is bigger than this small area. So I am interested in this red color mark area only, which means when I subtract the lesser area from the higher area, that is the probability which I got from the Z table for 750 marks and the probability I have got from the Z table for 711 mark, sorry 710 mark, right? Then I'm going to get the difference between these two is going to be the probability between 710 and 715. I mean the student scoring, or the probability of student scoring between 710 and 750. This is how I can calculate it. Now let us calculate it manually. Okay, sorry, there was a little correction I need to do, and that's why I paused the video while recording. So the meaning I was talking about is, when I want the difference between these two areas, simply I have to calculate the probability for Z at 750 and probability of Z at 710. So obviously, because I'm interested in this, so obviously I'm going to get two different probabilities. So from higher area or from higher probability, I am going to subtract the lesser area or lesser probability, and which is going to give me my expected answer or my required answer. So let us calculate that one by one. So calculate the z-score for corresponding 710. If I want to calculate this, how to calculate this one? So x minus mu upon sigma, correct? Again, so this is going to be my mu, this is going to be my sigma, this is my x. So I'm getting here 0.03 minus again, okay, minus 0.03, and for 750 I'm getting a z-score of 1.34, because 750 minus 711 divided by 29 again, okay. So I will get these values as my z-scores. Now I have to find out the corresponding probability values from the Z table. So let us go and check it from Z table. So one value is minus 0.03, which means I am talking about, this is minus 0.0, okay, this is 0.1, this is 0.2, 02, sorry, this is 0.03, right, because this is going to be the column. Yes, so this is 0.03, right. So first is 0.00, 01, 02, 03. So fourth column we have to refer. So fourth column is 0.48, that is 0.49, which I have placed over here, 0.49, right. Similarly, we have to calculate for this one, 1.34. So now we have to go for a positive direction. This is 1.3, this is 1.3, and this is 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this is going to be the area. So 0.909, which eventually will be converted into 0.91, right? When we truncate it to 2 decimals, so 0.91 is going to be my area for that one, right? So the final answer will be 0.91 minus 0.49 is going to be 0.42, right? So there is 42% chance that the student may score between 710 and 750, or there are 42% of the students in this existing data who have scored between these 2 marks, 710 and 750. So this area, don't you think, is going to be around 42% of the entire curve? We are talking about 100%, which is 1, right? So this is how we calculate the z-scores and use the z-table for probability calculations of the desired business problem, right? So that's it for z distribution and z-scores and how to calculate the probabilities from this z distribution, etc., etc., right? So if you have any queries, any doubts from this particular topic, you can please ask me through all the medium possible available with you to communicate with me, right? And then I have a small assignment for you guys. If you have understood it, then please calculate it and put it on the link below as a comment, in the comment as an answer, right? So let me or tell me, what is the probability for student scoring greater than 715 marks? Which means what I am asking is, this is 700, this is 750, then this is going to be, because the bin size is 20, so this is 20, 40, 60, 80, 700, so this is going to be 720, 40, 50, 60, and this is going to be 780. So I am interested now in probability of student scoring greater than 715 marks, which means this is going to be 710 and this is going to be 715. So we are interested in this area, which is, as a hint, I am telling you that this is a right side in the plot, right? And z-score or z-table always give the left side area. So now this is an assignment for those who are watching this video, right? Please put your answers in comments wherever possible, maybe on Facebook, maybe on YouTube, maybe you can directly WhatsApp me. So tell me the probability of this area, or probability of this area means from the z-table, how you will calculate it. The probability of student scoring greater than 715 marks, right? So that's it for the day, guys. If you have any questions, any suggestions, any feedback, you can please contact me on from any of the mediums available, right? I'm going to give all the information about my communication details in the description of this window, and so that is LinkedIn, Facebook page, maybe WhatsApp number, everything will be available. WhatsApp number obviously is available only on Facebook page, right? And if you really like the video, please share it with your friends right? And if you really want to join the curriculum which I do conduct, okay, please do enroll with a batch for the course. And then if you have really liked my YouTube channel, please subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon. Also share it with your other friends. You can also subscribe to my or like to my Facebook page, so that by doing all this, why I'm telling repeatedly in every of my video, by doing that, it will be very easy for you to have the information about my next updates, right? And which is going to help you in your learning. So thank you very much, guys. God bless you. Bye bye. Take care. See you.